Hope you're having a great day, and thank you for listening. Our little project has grown exponentially, and it's really because of you. So I can't thank you enough for being a listener to our show. And today, fired up about our guest, Marc Spears, senior NBA writer from The Undefeated. You may have seen him on ESPN. He's written some great stories on the finals and covering the NBA. He has for many years. Great guy, in demand all over the country, all over the world. But he wants to be a part of our show. It says a lot. It says a lot about you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present Marc Spears. We were just talking off our recording about your season never ends. I was going to ask you how much downtime you're going to get. You get a little vacation, run around, do your Swaggy P bathrobe, or no shirt like JaVale McGee, but you don't get any downtime.
Nah, I mean, there's no game this week, obviously, after a sweep. But next week, week from Thursday, is NBA draft. So on June 21st, so I'll be departing to New York next week for the NBA draft. And then as soon as that is over, then free agency starts getting revved up and summer league starts getting revved up. So kind of hope that about July 15th or so, I could kind of shut it down for about 2 months, but even that gets shortened because the NBA starts training camp earlier. So
yeah,
I was used to getting the entire month of September off, which is amazing, but it's basically mid-July through the end of September, and then USA Basketball actually has a training camp in late July in Vegas. So ain't a lot of downtime at all, not even for the writers.
What do you do when you get away from basketball?
Well, I'm in grad school at LSU, so I'm spending time with that. I try not to really write, man. I got to get away and refresh my brain. I'm actually learning quietly how to be a DJ.
Is that right?
I love music. Yeah. So learning how to do that.
Well, you always had that DJ voice, so I could totally see you on like KBLX back in the day with the love songs and dropping your voice.
Like spins the music.
Oh, okay. Beat mixing then.
Yeah, not on the air DJ, but kind of just have fun with it. I love music, and that's kind of like an escape for me. So but grad school's taking away a lot of my free time. I'll probably try to get a vacation in somewhere. I'm not sure yet, but a lot of times I travel so much, I'd rather just be at home doing a lot of nothing, just working out and chilling, really.
What did you make of the comments that David West made after the final, saying, man, if you knew about the what happened here internally, you'd be tripping and you'd be stunned that we were able to be successful like this?
Well, I think with David, the most he usually talks is after they've won. Gets a couple sips of champagne in his system, and when people start drinking a little bit, they say a little more. So he probably said a little bit more than he wanted to, but there's certainly some truth there because other people like Steve Kerr and Sean Livingston and Draymond Green and even Bob Myers acknowledged that there were some issues. What those issues were. Perhaps we find out one day, perhaps we don't. Definitely sounds like there was some personal stuff going on behind the scenes with a couple guys, and but it certainly is a trying season when you're trying to repeat. You're getting to your fourth finals in 4 years, playing a lot of extra games. There's a lot of fatigue, man, and then to add to the fact that in the beginning they had to, after a short off season, they had to go to China. Certainly, it was really, really bad timing for the Warriors. So I could see Kerr during training camp next year just really, really making it light, more about just conditioning and getting mentally ready, but just trying to make it as light as possible for those guys because, if you want a three-peat, which the Lakers did, or I don't know what the last team and went to 5 finals in 5 years, and the West is only going to get tougher. I mean, the Rockets we'll see, assuming Chris Paul returns, They're still going to be great. San Antonio will be better with Kawhi back. Who knows where LeBron James goes? It's not going to get any easier for the Warriors, whose spotlight has gotten a lot brighter. So I think they could do it again, but I think they need to be probably might have to take a few more losses, use some more of the young guys or whoever the new guys are to kind of keep the key guys rested and energized and focused.
Kerr hinted that the roster would be different next year. That'd be an infusion of youth, some athleticism. So would you expect that to be the end of the line for David West, JaVale, Nick Young, etc.?
Yeah, but, some of the youth is already there. Like, I expect Damon Jones to be the next JaVale McGee. He reminds me a lot of Clint Capella, somebody I think the Warriors probably should have used this season anyway. Should have gave an opportunity to when they did. I thought he played great. Patrick McCall probably get more on opportunity next year. Kevon Looney, assuming he returns, will get that. Quinn Cook is signed. So I expect if all those 4 young guys come back, that they'd actually be in a rotation off the bench with Iguodala, with Livingston. So some of those guys I think are already there. Let's see who they pick up. I think they need a shooter, third point guard. Well, no, actually, sorry, they got the third point guard, but I think they need a shooter. I think they need some more height, some more size, some more athleticism. And then I forgot to mention his name's eluded me. Kid from Oregon, the rookie.
Oh, Jordan Bell.
Jordan Bell, yeah. Jordan Bell was enjoying Hennessy during the parade.
Yeah, shirtless.
But, that's another young guy that they're going to use. Jordan Bell will be a part of that mix as well. So I think after getting opportunities to play in the regular season, the postseason, Jordan Bell got good minutes in the finals. I think he will have a bigger role too. So a lot of the guys that you'll see more of are already on the team.
If you had to just pick one of those guys, the centers, there's so many to choose from with Zaza, JaVale, Bell, Looney. Who would you say opening night's going to be the starting 5? Starting 5 men.
I think it's the 4 All-Stars and to be determined.
Yeah.
Because that new starting center could be a new player. Will they have confidence in Damon Jones being that guy? It might be a little too early. Perhaps they'll go after somebody that's more of a veteran. We'll see. I think he could probably handle it. Because that guy really doesn't get like great minutes anyway. So I can see if he has a really good summer, because he will be playing summer league. But if he has a really good summer, that he'll get an opportunity to challenge for a starting position next season.
Any chance LeBron stays in Cleveland?
Yeah, I think so. His family has a role in his decision. He said is got a teenage boy, a preteen, a young daughter. I'm sure his wife loves being home in Akron. I hope he stays. I'd like to see him stay in Cleveland and finish it up at home. You hear a lot about L.A., probably more so than anything. Houston, I think, is just too tough to try to incorporate a sign and trade when they don't really have a lot of assets to sign or to trade. So we'll see. But, when just spending some time in Cleveland, look, they're going to have the number 8 pick in the draft. They have a chance to perhaps add a quality free agent or make a trade to get somebody good in. The Western Conference, man, I don't know if I'm really trying to mess with the Western Conference if you're trying to continue to go to the finals. Although I think the Boston Celtics are certainly going to be the favorites in the East next year. You can get LeBron with a really, really good draft pick and Love back and add a great free agent or get somebody via trade. They'll still be formidable. So But ultimately, we'll see. And I know there'll be a lot of people buying for his services.
Hey, I wanted to talk to you about your life a little bit because I was watching a great documentary a week or so ago. I was swapping some text with you about it, and I thought it was pretty good. Marc Spears is not just a sports writer and a future DJ. This guy's a movie producer, and Katrina Kopp in the Superdome. For those of maybe the sports fans that don't know about that, get into that project.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I had a cousin that was a cop in the Superdome during Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, and initially I was thinking about trying to do a movie script with it, and that was really difficult. So I met a guy. Actually, there was a podcast, the Celtics podcast that I was on from when I used to cover the Celtics, and somebody heard me on the podcast talking about wanting to do a documentary with my cousin, and they reached out, and his name was Paul Licey, and we ended up doing it. And I think it's really good. It's on Amazon Plus. Something I'm really, really proud of, although I'm not getting a penny of it. That's another story, but
we got to work on that then, get you paid.
Yeah, for all the work I did. But it's a great look into the reality of what happened in the Superdome during Hurricane Katrina. And, even you could add $1 million, but money didn't mean anything in there. Very scary situation where it could have been a lot worse than it was. There was deaths, there was rapes, there was drug use, there was fear of a war between the locals and the cops that almost took place. So please check it out. I definitely think it's worth your while, especially with the anniversary of Katrina coming up in August.
No, it's good. It's great stuff, and you get to see the participants. I saw Steve Gleason, who of course later became famous for a negative reason with the ALS.
Got ALS, yeah.
Now, how about this for maybe a documentary down the line, kind of a follow-up to that original documentary? So what happened to those people 10, 15, 20 years later?
Yeah, no, it'd be great to update it. Everybody I know is still alive. Obviously, Gleason's fighting. But my cousin is actually the one who's surrounded featured on. He actually is retiring, I think, later this year. So he's about to be retired and probably going more to security realm. But yeah, man, it definitely is worthy of a follow-up.
How much did that experience change your life? I mean, obviously the people that participated, their lives have been changed forever, but you observing it and getting to experience it firsthand.
Oh, well, I mean, it was personal to me because my parents, lived in New Orleans at the time, and they evacuated to Dallas for several months. My dad was able to do a lot to fix the house. He actually snuck his way back to the house and was able to do it there in the West Bank of New Orleans area. So, but my aunt, my uncle, they lost everything. I had family members who lost everything. Family members who moved to Houston that still live in Houston, or moved to Atlanta that are still in Atlanta after Katrina. So it was certainly a personal story for me, and one that I wanted to tell. Wish that it was, probably seen by more people. I think the story is really, really great. A history lesson, and hopefully it'll get picked up more. But first documentary that I ever did. Hopefully I'll do another one, but I'm very proud to have my name associated with it.
Now you got some diverse interests that give you some balance with the DJing and the movie stuff. How did you get into the job that most people already know you for, which is covering basketball?
Yeah, no, I attended a junior high school in San Jose, California called Silverdale Junior High School. And at that time, I was involved with this group called Horizons, which was like Education Without Walls, where they had a group of kids that I guess they thought had an intriguing creativity, and we were in the same classroom all day, but we were taught a more like creative way of learning, which I really enjoyed. And so what they had at the school at the time was a career day, And at the career day, the Warriors came. Somebody from the Warriors came, and I just went to go listen to him in hopes of getting a free hat, free jersey, free ticket, free bumper sticker, free something. And then the guy didn't give us nothing, but he gave me something certainly much more valuable, some great advice. He actually pointed at me and said, "Hey, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to play for y'all." And he's like, "Well, what if you can't?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." And he said, "Well, let me give you some advice. If you can combine what you love most in life or what you do best academically, you'll find a career that you're happy to, go to every day." And I really, really thought about it. And I was like, you know what? I love sports and I love to write. Why not be a sports writer? Why not, if I can't be at the NBA Finals or the Super Bowl or the World Series as a player, why not be there as a writer? And so the teacher, Mrs. Thompson, I believe it was her name, she told us to write a letter to somebody in the field that we were interested in. And so I wrote Marc Purdy from the San Jose Mercury News in a letter. And he wrote me back basically telling me what I needed to do from the 7th grade through high school, through college to become a sports writer. And he's like, write on the school paper immediately, cover a team at the school. When you get to high school, write on the school paper or the yearbook class, and take all the top English classes and take typing classes. And then he said, when you get to college, take as many internships as possible and write on the school paper. So I listened to everything he said to a T. I covered in the 7th grade for our school paper. I covered the 8th grade flag football team, man. I went to their practices, talked to the players, wrote stories. So I've actually been a sports writer since the 7th grade. Did the same thing in the 8th grade and the 9th grade. I wrote on the school paper at Andrew Hill High School in San Jose. Took typing 1, typing 2. So I got to be, well-versed in typing, which is very important for what I do. And then when I went to college, I played college basketball, but I started at Foothill College, wrote on the school paper there, wrote on the school paper at the University District of Columbia, which is at HBCU. Also went to San Jose State, finished there, wrote on the school paper at San Jose State, but I got my first internship at San Jose Metro, which I sent a letter to the editor asking if I could write sports stories for him for the summer for free. She said yes. Through the National Association of Black Journalists, I got an internship with the Grand Rapids Press, which was my first big internship. And then after my senior year, I interned at the Dallas Morning News, which at that time had one of the best sports pages in the country. Also, as a senior, with the help through Bud Geraci from the Mercury News, I actually covered high school basketball for them during my senior year in college. So the experience I had when I graduated from San Jose State was probably higher than the majority of college students. And, I credit Marc Purdy, my high school journalism teachers and my high school English teachers and Mick Van Valkenburg and, Bud Geraci and just Bob Rucker from San Jose State. Like, all these people played a big role in me, because I felt like kind of becoming a first-round pick from a journalism standpoint, whereas my first job was covering University of Arkansas's football and basketball team for the Tulsa World. So, if Marc Purdy didn't write me that letter and I told him this, who knows, where I would have ended up. I ended up meeting him for the first time in the Beijing Olympics in 2008, after writing him in junior high. So that was certainly amazing. And, but yeah, I think that advice the guy from the Warriors gave me as a kid was very instrumental in getting everything started.
When you were doing all those internships and working for free, how did you survive? I mean, you got to make some money, you got to live, you got to eat.
I mean, at that time, I had transferred to San Jose State. I wasn't on athletic scholarship. I was a walk-on. I was just staying with my folks, my parents. So, but I had a job. It's funny you mention it. Now I'm thinking back. I was working at New United Motors, where my dad worked, which is now a Tesla plant, from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. that's where I got my summer money. And after that, I would leave and go to the San Jose Metro.
Wow.
Like, so an hour at 3 o'clock to 7, Monday through Friday. But I did a lot of stories like over the phone or on the weekends and stuff like that. But, yeah, I was writing like 2 or 3 stories for them a week. And, but yeah, I was getting up at like 4:45 in the morning to get up and go to work in Fremont and going to the San Jose Metro, probably stinking, looking crazy, changing my clothes and everything, and trying to get some experience. But you know, the first experience you get, I mean, it has to be free. It has to be free.
Yeah.
You got to get your experience somehow. And when they look at your resume, nobody asks if you were paid or not. So, squeaky wheel gets the oil, and I sent them a letter, and luckily for me, they wanted me around.
I was talking to a mutual friend about watching you work in the finals last year, and this great rapport that you have with the players, that they're so comfortable with you and you're comfortable with them, and it seems like they're just two peers talking. Do you feel like that's a strength of yours as a reporter, to develop that kind of rapport where you can get information because the people feel comfortable around you, that they trust you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm fair. I mean, I am probing for information. They do know I'm a reporter. You know, when David West told me that stuff, when I left and he saw me interviewing Sean Livingston, he yelled out, "Oh, see, trying to get the information." So they know I work for ESPN. They know I work for the Undefeated. They know but I'm not looking to screw anybody. You know what I mean? I'm not looking to make anybody look bad. One of the best compliments I ever got was Greg Popovich told me, he said that I was a fair journalist. And he appreciated that, and that's all I try to be, is a fair journalist. And I think it's that mentality that makes coaches or players or general managers or owners, and not everybody loves me. I ain't gonna sit here and say that everybody thinks I'm a great guy. I mean, it's inevitable in life that everybody's not gonna like you. But I think for the most part, the players feel like they could trust me, like they like my platform at the Undefeated, getting tough stories out, a lot to deal with race, and I've also been around for a long time, so I think they're just used to seeing me around too. So, you've been around this long and the majority aren't killing you. It certainly helps your reputation when there's a new player and an agent or a coach can say, like, "Hey, that's a good guy. You should talk to him," or they. I've been around so long. "Oh, man, I read your stories when I was a kid," or whatever,
Yeah. How much of your job is competitive, where you're trying to, beat some other reporter to get the scoop, to break the story, to be first on something?
I mean, yes, it's competition, but I just kind of do my thing. I can't sit around and worry about what somebody else is doing. You just, have I kicked myself when I had a story idea and then somebody else has it, or somebody writes something like, "Dang, man, why not think of that?" Yeah. I mean, you're never going to be perfect as a journalist. There's always going to be some challenges. They call it, as my buddy Dwayne Price said, they call it a beat because you're going to get beat. So you're not going to have everything, but what I do have, I try to make it something that's memorable and something that's creative and new and something that is different from the norm.
You get any of your work ethic from Cherry Park? Because that was some, back in the day, fight to stay on the court. You lose, you go home because you're going to have to wait for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, no, Cherry Park was a great pickup basketball place in San Jose. Cherry Park taught me toughness because, I'm there 15 years old, 16 years old playing basketball outside. But because I was a center or forward, a power forward, a center, I had to usually guard 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, and guys that were bigger, stronger than me, tougher than me, grown men. And so I had to be tough, and they didn't care that I was a young kid. One, they don't want to get embarrassed by a young kid. Two, they're trying to win and survive because, like you said, the talent was so good there that once you lost, you might have to wait an hour or two to get back on the court. So we used to come with our own 5, and which would last about hopefully like 2 to 3 or 4 games we could stick around. I'd have a loaded 5. But no, it taught me toughness, competition, how every possession's important. Because, it was like 1st to 10. There was a lot of people was 1st to 8. So, and also toughness because that last point, you're going to get hit, you're going to get fouled, and you just have to be ready for it. So, yeah, I certainly learned a lot playing there, and teamwork, and realizing that just because you have 5 great scorers doesn't mean you're going to win there. You have to have somebody that could rebound, somebody that could defend. I used to always laugh at the old, we used to call him the old head. There would be an old guy who would just pick 4 random dudes, but one was a good point guard, one was a good rebounder, one was a good shooter. One could do everything, and then that guy was typically like a to do everything guy, and they would win. And you're like, how did he just win with this hodgepodge group of guys? Well, he picked a good team and not just 5 great scorers. So, certainly learned a lot from that as well.
Yeah, back in the day, I dislocated my kneecap at Cherry Park, and a couple of the guys dragged me off the court. You moved me to the side, and they asked, "Hey, how you doing?" I think I'm done. I think I'm hurt. All right. Okay, we need one. Who wants to play? We need one. Yeah, they drag the carcass off the court, then pick up the next guy because it was, hey,
No cell phone either. They had to go to someone had to go to the payphone and call for you.
Yeah. Oh, it was brutal. I think I drove home, but they just dragged me off the court and picked the next guy because, hey, we need one. So it was. It's not for the faint of heart to play there.
No, that sounds right.
Hey, I want to get you on. I know you're got a ton of things to do. It's not ever off season for you, but you're always in demand. Next time I get you, I want to talk about your old school days with Lloyd Pierce, because he's one of my best friends in the game, now the head coach of the Atlanta Hawks, and you go back since the age of 14. So I'm sure you got some great stories.
Yeah, no, definitely have a lot of stories on Lloyd, man.
Give us another reason to chat. Hey, I know a lot of folks right now are tugging on you, wanting a piece of your time, so I appreciate you giving me a few minutes and let the audience know you a little bit, along with what you do. So stay connected, keep working on that beat mixing, have a new DJ name by the time I talk to you next, and get some downtime. Have a great summer, Marc.
All right, bro. Take care now.
Thank you to Marc Spears, the senior NBA writer of The Undefeated. You can follow him at Marc J. Spears, ESPN, and go and check out his documentary. The producer of Katrina Kapp and the Superdome did a great job, available on Amazon Prime. Thank you for listening, making this podcast happen. We are available on DaveLewisOnTheAir.com, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. Because of you, we're continuing to grow. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.